Welcome to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
So guys, people keep talking about Paris and their outside street vendors, especially their crepes. And this guy tells a story that gets 15 million views, and it says, why did no one warn me to not eat the crepes in Paris before I came to Paris? Now, I've already been hearing not so great things about Paris. I don't know if it's a trend to like Paris or something, but this story took the cake. So he says he goes over to a crepe stand, and they were like very expensive, but he still bought one because he really wanted a crepe. They looking good. He gets his crepe. He finds himself a bench, starts eating that crepe. He's like, oh, it's so good. It's so, oh, the delicious strawberries and the cream and the, you get the drill. But then he looks over to his right and he sees like the same person that sold him the crepes kind of walking over here. He's holding all of the leftover crepe batter and fruits or whatever. Then the guy looks around, see if anyone's watching, and he opens the sewer drain and stores the food in there. And he was like, no way. And supposedly it turns out that a lot of locals in Paris kind of know about this. It seems to be general knowledge. So when I first heard this, I was like, Cap, ain't no way Paris would just let people do this. Then I saw this video.
So here we have some guys going into the sewers to retrieve their bags of water and beer that they're gonna go sell to people on the sidewalk or at the...
Brother, Paris! What the So I'm like scrolling and everybody's saying this.
Just found out the most disgusting reason you should absolutely never go to one of those sketchy, illegitimate looking crepe stands in Paris. Like, seriously, when I found this out, I was just like, oh.
You know how the Paris sewer system has been getting some bad press lately with illegal food vendors misusing manholes?
No.
Well, let's not touch the whole
I didn't know. And see, there is an article. Champ de Mars pancake batter sold on the street is stored in manholes. Paris! Like, why? Jeez! I know. This is a task less than a year before Olympics on the lawns of Eiffel Tower, an obligatory, holy fuck, I butchered. Obligatory passage for tourists in Paris. Street vendors are swarming with dangerous sanitary practices. Outraged local residents, elected officials, and institutions are sounding the alarm. Are you? I'm sounding the alarm. I don't know what I'm doing. That was my alarm. So yeah, guys, think twice before getting a crepe. Go to a restaurant or something. What do y'all think about this?
First of all, I've got to give props to the guy that made that video. It was informative, pulled in multiple sources to back up his claim, and the way he edited that thing together was hilarious. Awesome video. Wish I could have this guy edit my stuff. I know we cover a lot of disgusting food-related stuff, but this is one I feel like really should be public knowledge. This is absolutely disturbing. I would never have suspected that this is something you'd have to worry about whenever you go to visit a place that's considered a first world country. And what the locals need to do, if this is a problem they want it fixed, like it's claiming in that article, they need to go around at night after all the stands close and lift the lids on all these sewers and just let all the drinks and stuff they're storing in there fall down, unless the sewer would get clogged up with that stuff. But if they just started losing products storing it that way, they would stop. To fix a problem like this, you have to make the practice undesirable.
I'm going to take you back in time to show you what the ancient Egyptians did here in New Jersey. This is Barnegat Bay. This is LBI, that I believe that was originally created by the Giants, because there's all kinds of islands and face figures, because that's what they did. And that's what we have here. This is supposed to be a face here. You see that? And then when you see what's here, you see these lines, okay? When you see what's on the other side of the river here. These are all ancient scripts. You see the little lines, the little dots. It's really amazing what's here. So we're going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to go on the other side of this really snaky river. And then here is the Egyptian script. That's what they did, these ancient giants. They put their script. Look at the symbol systems, okay? This isn't from any cranberry bogs or any, because they set this park aside. They set these parks aside for this all to be found. Look at all these symbols. This is what they did in the swampland. And then this is supposed to be the giant's brain, like, there's his face, two eyes, his nose, okay? And then his brain is full of just, look at the brain. The brain is full of the symbol systems of the knowledge that they left behind for us. And then this symbol system continues all the way up through this whole area. You can see how they were working their symbol system. and it ended. Right? They made the lines, but they never completed the symbols, or they might have started a few.
I jumped on Google Earth to check this out, and the area that this covers is massive. However, after digging for about 30 minutes on Google, I discovered that those lines were supposedly put in place to control the mosquito population in the marsh. And what looks like ancient hieroglyphs, people are saying are the remnants of a rice growing operation of some sort. I don't know that I buy that explanation, but it could be true. I do think that this is suspiciously similar to some ancient texts and stuff that I've seen that look like what I would assume is alien writings. But it may literally be a case of looking like something that it isn't. It may just look like writing of some sort because our brains are designed to look for patterns even where there are none. Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com.
You guys know Jeremy Corbell? He's like really involved with like the whistleblowers, and he was being interviewed, and he's like, UFOs are real. They've been here for a very long time. The US government has known about it for a very long time. What you don't know is that there is going to be a giant lie that they want you to believe in.
Interesting.
The lie is going to be that there is going to be a giant craft slowly headed towards Earth, and this is the lie, that it will arrive in 2027. What? So what does that mean?
You think they're telling the truth?
My whole thought is like, there's so many people I've seen like all this end time prophecy stuff is happening, all this weird stuff is happening, like Jesus is coming back really soon.
Yeah.
But my thought is like, if you were a believer and you were so disconnected from news, would you still be able to sense there's something off right now?
Francis Chan getting worked up on it. It's the scariest thing to me when he's like,
2000
Adam to Abraham is 2,000 years. Abraham to Jesus is 2,000. Jesus to now is another 2,000. We have the precedent of a grouping of 6 and then a 7th day of rest, or he says the 1,000-year reign could be what's coming real soon.
I'd be stoked for that.
I keep hearing this from people, that the end feels closer than it ever has, that something feels different about these last few years, and it feels like the entire world is speeding toward end-time prophecy. I think a big contributor to that feeling is just the communication capabilities that we have now. 40 years ago, there was still government corruption and evil corporations. There was still a human trafficking problem. You just weren't as aware of that stuff back then as people are today. I think the internet has made it so that people no longer just have to worry about local issues, but issues on a global scale. We absolutely could be nearing our last days, but I think that feeling that everyone's describing is an easy phenomenon to understand.
Do you guys remember this clip from the World Economic Forum? I'm going to show you it in a second. We are at a critical juncture when it comes to humanity, where technology is either going to lift everybody up or suppress everybody down, and it's quite freaky. I mean, you can look at things like Havana syndrome, where diplomats in Cuba experienced all of these debilitating symptoms. A lot of people believe it was caused by a weapon that was just projecting it into you. Over this weekend, somebody sent $1.4 million to send a message on the blockchain. They sent it to the burn address. What did that message say? Oh, it just said that the company was using brain machine weapons to persecute all the company employees, former employees, and they themselves are also controlled. Read the messages right here. A brain-computer interface, mind-reading technology keeps developing. There's a new mode of crime. Wild animals become puppets or complete slaves to the digital machine. It's a new mode of crime, which the victim is gradually deprived of his senses of desire until he becomes a complete slave to the digital machine. I don't know the context behind this. I don't know if this is just some crazy person that spent 1.4 million to be like, hey, they're putting chips into our heads and they're controlling us, or if it's actually real. But what they claim is that it's pretty widespread and it's being pushed out more and more, which is why I want to share this clip. This is Nita Farahani, and she wrote a book called The Battle for Your Brain.
You're in the zone. Even you can't believe how productive you've been. Your memo is finished, your inbox is under control, and you're feeling sharper than you have in a decade. Sensing your joy, your playlist shifts to your favorite song, sending chills up your spine as the music begins to play. You glance at the program running in the background on your computer screen and notice a now familiar sight that appears whenever you're overloaded with pleasure. Your theta brainwave activity decreasing in the temporal regions of your brain. You mentally move the cursor to the left and scroll through your brain data over the past few hours. You can see your stress levels rising as the deadline to finish your memo approached, causing a peak in your beta brainwave activity right before an alert popped up, telling you to take a brain break. But what's that unusual change in your brain activity when you're asleep? It started earlier in the month. You sent a text message to your doctor with a mental swipe of your cursor. Could you take a quick look at my brain data? Anything to worry about? Your mind starts to wander to the new colleague on your team, whom you know you shouldn't be daydreaming about, given the policy against intra-office romance. But you can't help fantasizing just a little. But then you start to worry that your boss will notice your amorous feelings when she checks your brain activity and shift your attention back to the present. You breathe a sigh of relief when the email she sends you later that day congratulates you on your brain metrics from the past quarter, which have earned you another performance bonus. You head home, jamming to the music, with your work-issued brain-sensing earbuds still in. When you arrive at work the next day, a somber cloud has fallen over the office. Along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data, the government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
What do you think? Is it a future you're ready for?
As you heard, Nita asks, is this a future you're ready for? Some say no, some say yes, and then she's like, well, it's already here. I cannot stress this enough. This is not the time to be asleep. Technology that is coming out right now can either take us on an exponential scale upwards and we're going to go to new levels, or it can suppress the vast majority of human life, completely enslaving you. It's already here. We're not making it, it is already here. If you think people are born into mental slavery in the current system, just you wait. This is why you need to embody who you are, and we really got to start making some moves. I'm optimistic that we will. I love you. What a time to be alive.
This sounds like it could have been the plot to the prequel of The Matrix. This is absolutely terrifying. And the craziest part of that video to me is that when the lady finished her presentation and asked the audience, is this a future y'all are ready for? Some of the people said yes. And you know the people that said yes are not viewing this as a product that's going to be used on them. It's going to be a tool that they can utilize against their own employees, giving them the cooperative little worker bees that they desire. I think this brain chip stuff needs to be written off. I just don't see how they could ever put enough safeguards in a product like that to take away the inherent risks.
For my special studio guest today, Dr. Frank Stranges, he has a rather unique story to tell because during 1950s, he claims to have met a man from Venus. Yes, you heard me correctly, a man from Venus named Val Thor. And guess what? It's all documented in this book, Stranger at the Pentagon. And in it, Dr. Frank tells us exactly who Val Thor is, why he's here, and there's even photographs to prove his existence. Dr. Frank, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy.
This really is a real-life day the Earth stood still, isn't it?
Yes, plus. And here, coming toward me with his right hand outstretched, the man whose picture I've been carrying around with me for over a year.
Wow.
He said, hello, Frank, how are you? And I thought, how in the Sam Hill does he know my name? And he knew from that time forward, the moment I touched his fingers, his skin was as soft as a baby.
Right.
And I did turn his hand over. He had no fingerprints on either hand, as bald as a peeled boiled egg. And I questioned him on that later, which he told me. And he asked me questions, just a few questions, but I asked him more questions. And he told me more about my own life than my parents and grandparents put together, which I verified later on. Mm-hmm. I said, what is your name? He said, Valiant Thor.
There's something special about Val that, you know, you've already mentioned about having no fingerprints.
Yes.
He has no navel.
No, he has no navel and he has no fingerprints. This is why I believe he falls in the category of a created being, just like an angelic being. Mm-hmm. And he's unique in his way, believe you me. Mm-hmm. And the other members of his crew and the members of his staff, they all have navels.
Right. But being a created being, of course, right. He wouldn't.
But they don't have any fingerprints either.
Right.
Unique in that manner.
Wow. Let's take a look at the next picture and see what we have.
This is Commander Valiant Thor. That's exactly what he looked like when the photo was taken by Augut Roberts some years before. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what he looks like today. He hasn't changed one iota.
Val, where is he today?
Valiant Thor today is on board his spacecraft, not too far from the waterline of Lake Mead, Nevada, not too far from Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. He's there with his entire complement.
Right. And I believe that in your book you have a map of where to
Yes.
where Lake Mead is.
The area, yes.
Right.
We also have a sketch of the interior of the ship.
Right. And is the ship underneath the waterbed? Is it on
It's
top?
right on the shoreline. Now, it's surrounded by a force field, and the only way you could possibly find that ship is if you look for a row of a circle of dead insects, but the wind would probably drive them away by the time you got there.
Right. So is there a depression there, sort of like a crop circle depression? Or?
You won't see it.
You wouldn't see it?
No, because it's heavy gravel.
The story of Valiant Thor is one that I never really gave a whole lot of thought to. It just, from the moment I heard about it, sounded far-fetched to me. And I've seen multiple photos that claim to be a photo of Valiant Thor, and they don't all look like the same guy. And besides that, why would some advanced being that was here to assist us in some way be dressed like any other guy in the building? In that photo they just showed, he's even wearing a pinky ring. What purpose would an advanced being have for taking on the customs of human beings and adorning themselves in jewelry? Is he trying to show off his advanced sense of style or something? The whole story just never sounded right to me. What are y'all's thoughts on Valiant Thor?
And many people know about the tram system that runs underneath the United States. Some insiders call it the Subterranean Maglev shuttle system, or simply the sub-shuttle system. Sub as in subterranean. The sub-shuttle system is a high-speed magnetic levitation maglev transit system that operates in vacuum-sealed tubes. This technology eliminates friction and air resistance, allowing the shuttles to reach extreme speeds underground, like Mach 2 up to 2.8, potentially thousands of miles per hour. The system uses advanced magnetic propulsion similar to maglev trains, but in a vacuum tube, allowing for near-silent, frictionless travel. The unidirectional tram operates in a network of sealed underground tunnels that are reinforced and highly secure. These tunnels are described as reaching deep underground, an average of 1.5 to 4.5 miles deep, crisscrossing the United States and potentially connecting to international locations. The origins of the subshuttle system are sometimes linked to military, industrial, and corporate initiatives dating back to the 20th century, with advancements purportedly made using reverse-engineered alien technology. SSP proponents claim that construction involved nuclear-powered tunneling machines called subterranes, rhymes with submarine, capable of melting through rock and soil, creating smooth, glass-like tunnels. Some accounts attribute the creation and maintenance of the network to defense contractors and highly classified branches of the military, including the Air Force and Army Corps of Engineers. According to SSP sources, this underground maglev system connects major military bases, deep underground military bases, called DUMBs, research facilities, and potentially significant cities across the U.S. and beyond. Some accounts suggest it connects facilities as far as the West Coast to the East Coast in under 1 hour, facilitating rapid covert transportation for personnel, materials, and advanced technology. There are also suggestions that this system extends to international destinations, with tunnels reaching other continents through a vast subterranean network. This maglev system is said to be used primarily by government personnel and military operatives and high-ranking officials to transport them quickly and covertly between secure locations. Some narratives describe it as part of the continuity of government operations, where the key personnel can move between secure underground bases quickly in case of emergencies or threats. It's also described as an efficient way to transport advanced technologies or alien materials, bypassing public infrastructure to maintain secrecy. Certain SSP proponents believe it may play a role in joint operations between humans and extraterrestrial beings, facilitating travel between above-ground facilities and deeper underground or even off-road locations.
This is one I don't know if I'm ready to write off yet. I know they have the deep underground military bases. I know they're working on tunnels right now with the Boring Company, so it's clearly safe to say that the technology exists and was likely being utilized long before Elon Musk started messing with it. But if they had this extensive network of underground super trains and stuff, why are they always traveling in planes? Every time one of our politicians goes to another country to try to inch us closer to World War III, we get the photos of their plane landing in the any other government coming out to greet them and shake their hand. If these tunnels exist, why aren't they using them? This makes me think that this may just be a theory with no actual evidence behind it. It may just be something that sounds like it's likely true, but there's not really any hard evidence for it. There is definitely evidence for the deep underground military bases, but none for these underground trains.
A patient got stabbed in the heart. When I walked in the ER, the surgeon had his chest cracked open, and he had his finger in the guy's heart. And they pronounced him dead. He was a young man, maybe 22, 23 years old. Drug deal that went bad. He died, and the surgeon was a Christian, Dr. Forster to be exact, said, we're not going to let him go without a fight, so we took him to the OR, took him to surgery, pumped him full of blood, got a pulse, tied the hole in his heart up with a suture, and since I was out in the surgery unit, I had to wait until he woke up. After about 4 hours, the guy woke up, and he looked me in the eye, and he grabbed me, and he started crying, sobbing, and he said, I met the devil. And I said, what do you mean you met the devil? He said, I saw you working on me. I was dead. I never prayed. And he could feel he went straight down into hell. And he said he looked in the eyes of the devil, and he prayed. He said he never prayed before. It was never spiritual. And he said, please, God, I'll change my life. And he felt an angel or a hand pull him back up. And that's when he awoke. And it was the most amazing experience because he was legit. I mean, no one makes up something like that. And last I heard, he's completely changed his life. He gave his life to God. And I still, to this day, the look in his eye when he woke up, the terror.
You hear people talking all the time about dying and seeing a bright light, or seeing a loved one or an angel that's there to help them stay calm. But dying and going straight to hell? You don't hear that one a lot. Clearly, there's no way to verify this story. But like the doctor said, this doesn't sound like something someone would just make up, especially when coming to from a life-saving surgery. I highly doubt that's a moment that people are typically in the mood to joke around and tell tall tales. And clearly it was real to the guy who experienced it if he cleaned his life up afterward, quit doing drugs, and started working on his relationship with God. But I just wanted to share that with everybody because I thought it was awesome. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com. And don't forget to drop a photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.